I would like to welcome everyone this evening to another activity as part of our Minority Enterprise Development Week, MedWeek 2022. It has been an exciting week, full of activities, and tonight the conversation will center around the H.B. Foster Center. Progress OKC, we're a community development corporation working really in two primary lanes around affordable housing and small business development. We have part of our cohort, most recent business cohort, Generation Impact, here with us tonight. And we're going to just, for a brief moment, let them introduce themselves and speak on their businesses, because for me, the work that they're doing, the work with Greg Jones and Daisy Munoz, that really is what Progress OKC is about, this particular piece of work. So I'm going to very quickly, who am I going to turn it over to first? Okay.
I'll go, I'm already up here.
There you go.
It's a little high. Thank you. I really didn't need a mic, but. Hi, I'm Brittany Driver, AKA The Budget Boss. And what my business is personal finance coaching. And I help families repair their relationships with money through mentorship and education. So if you want to get some more details, come visit me back in the back. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Frances Johnson, and I'm just starting a link to connect. And what I would like to do is have families and caregivers who take care of their parents, but who need to keep them at home. And there's a resource base. There's things out there. And if you're not already in the position, you will be at some point. So a link to connect, and we're getting ready to kind of like hit the ground running.
Hello, my name is Morgan Alexander, and I am the owner of Morgan's Garden. Morgan's Garden is a luxury hair extensions business. We're online, and we specialize in helping women feel beautiful with luxury extensions that actually match African Americans' hair texture. So if you're interested, come see me in the back, and I'm happy to be here, and thank you for your time.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lakeisha Braggs. I'm the owner of L145, which is a clothing boutique and a small intimate event center. I'm located right up here up the street on 36 in Kelly. She started looking. I'm sorry. Look. So I have a location, and I'm also online. My vision is to serve women, everyday life, working 9 to 5 in their careers, outfits like lounging, running errands, and I'm trying to create a one-stop shop here. Inside of my boutique, I have somebody that does nails and does makeup. So I'm just trying to create an area on the east side where women don't have to travel far, but they'll also get a luxury experience. So I have business cards back there, and then whenever you're leaving out of here and you pass the Northeast Shopping Center, I'm located right over there at 1041 Northeast 36th Street. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tasha Shalay Terry. I am the owner and real estate agent of Shalay Reality. I work in the Oklahoma City metro area with residential, commercial, and tapping into land as well. So if you guys are interested in buying or selling, just come back there to my booth with me and my daughter, Daisha Shalay, and we'll be happy to help you out.
Hi guys, how are you doing today? Good, awesome. Well, my name is Aaliyah, and I am the CEO and founder of Motivision. Our goal is to motivate and inspire young entrepreneurs to chase their dreams by wearing amazing apparel. Our vision is to be able to give resources and being able to fund businesses to be able to start up their business successfully. So that is in our future, and I hope to be able to see everyone in Motivision later on.
Hello, everybody. My name is Roshonda Coleman. I own Anointed Hands Express Blowout Boutique in Penn Square Mall. We're located on the second floor next door to Macy's. We are Oklahoma City's first and only textured blow dry bar, and what that means is that we get the hair done in 90 minutes or less. We do not hold you hostage. We let you come in, enjoy. We're a Christian salon, so you can enjoy the environment. Tell everybody we're there, please. And if you want to come back to the table and see the little contraption that helps us do that, we are back in the far corner. And thank you for your time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Imani Franklin, and I am a stylist at Salon 101. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. But our mission is to provide quality hair care service and personalized hair care service. And hopefully, when you guys leave the salon, we exceed your expectations. Thank you.
Good job.
Good job.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rashonda LuGrand, and I am owner and founder of Beehive Birth Consulting, and we specialize in holistic family planning, where we provide preconception, pregnancy, postpartum, and parenting support in addition to mental health. And we are headquartered in Midwest City, Oklahoma. You can come find out about us back here at our booth to get more information about the services that we provide. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much in allowing me that moment in time. I'm very pleased with this cohort and very excited about the possibilities. Just going to take just a moment and get a welcome from Superintendent of Metro Tech.
Thank you, thank you. Well, after hearing that, if that doesn't get you excited about this area and this community, there's nothing that will get you excited. That's exciting. Ms. Melville, I have no idea why you have such a huge smile on your face. But that's great. And this is what this is all about, is coming together, assisting and supporting for entrepreneurs, because here's what we realize in the state with business, is that it is young entrepreneurs that are going to take us to the next place. And if we do not have that, Oklahoma will not move as a state. We cannot live on oil and gas alone. We can't. And so it's great to see banks and industries and small business development centers and Henrietta B. Foster being spoken about tonight and her legacy and what she means to this community and being able to keep that legacy moving forward. And together then continuing to move forward and move the needle. Here's what research says. Research says it takes 20 plus years to end persistent poverty. Let's keep on moving. Let's keep on working, and let's keep on changing it and changing this community so that we no longer have that term at all, because we have young entrepreneurs moving in, moving up, and are going to be homeowners in the community. If you're renting right now and you want to invest, you need to go to that table and buy a home in this community. So, Metro Tech for Life, we're so grateful to be here and to host this and to be a part of this community. And thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Only take one more minute. We're going to have tonight's H.B. Foster is sponsored by the Kansas City Federal Reserve. They sponsored a luncheon for us today. So we're going to just have a few words from Dr. Dell about his particular research and looking at the growth in small business entrepreneurship, particularly as it relates to Black women. So without further ado.
Yeah, you actually got to thank Steve back there. He's your homeboy here at the Oklahoma City branch. I'm from Omaha. Y'all are just a little too country for me down here. I'm just playing. I'm playing. Yeah, he just said Omaha, so he gets it. But in all seriousness, I told Morgan I was going to get some of those luxury hair extensions. Then I'm gonna go get it freshened up back there and go to Daisha Chalet, and get me some braids. And y'all won't be able to tell me nothing after that. Nothing. So real quick, I've been up to OKC quite a few times, a lot recently, but I really got immersed in the community when I did the research on Black women startups. You had one of the focus groups here. This is back in I think 2017 or 2018. I got to really start getting to know the Northeast community and a lot of Black women through that process. So we did the research, we came back, we shared the research with stakeholders, and we came back to the community at Demetra's spot, and we had all the community members that wanted to come, and we shared the research, which is pretty cool. So it was no surprise when I was told that all the women, all the people in this particular program were Black women. Black women own 60% of all the businesses in the Black community, the only ethnic group of women that own more businesses than their male counterparts. Raise your hand if you knew Black women started 1 million businesses from 2002 to 2012. Of course. But it's unprecedented. It's the first time in American history that a group has started so many businesses so fast. And so it's really phenomenal what's occurring in that space. And so we really need to celebrate that and organize around that energy, because the challenge is, despite all of that growth, they generate revenue less than half of their next closest ethnic group peer, which is Latina women. So when you look at that fact, what we talk about is ecosystems, or we say it takes a community to raise an entrepreneur. And so what you're doing here is phenomenal. I've never seen the organization of young talent, a lot of folks at this table here and around, combined with old talent, more mature talent, more mature and experienced talent that's willing to support the emergent talent. And then you have an unprecedented opportunity due to the wide variety of resources that are coming down the table, down the pipe. And so I want to, he said 20 years for persistent poverty, and I want to reject that notion, because most people don't realize, because me and Chad, the branch exec, we wrote during the commemoration of Black Wall Street, we went and wrote an article. So I wrote the economic side of it and some of the history side. And most people don't realize that was from 1906 to 1921. Do the math on that. 15 years from the time Gurley said, I want to do this, and the time that it was destroyed. And we're still talking about it today as the pinnacle of Black economic development achievement. So there's this saying, and I'm going to close on this. There's this saying that if you want to go fast, you do what? Did you say slow down? If you want to go fast, slow down. Tell me where you work again. Who do you work for? If you want to go fast, slow down. No, it's if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. But the reality is, if you want to go really fast, you go together in alignment, because more people aligned in a common direction is always going to go faster than an individual by themselves or a group of people that are trying to get it together but don't know where they're trying to go. So with that, I just want to encourage you know the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City has your back. Well, Steve does. I'm going to be in Omaha chilling. But if you need us, call us. That's what we're here for. That's all we're here for. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So our consortium partners? Here we go.
All right. How many of y'all said together in alignment whenever he asked that question? That was like, I felt like nobody was going to say that, but he was right. My name is Quentin Hughes. I lead Northeast OKC Renaissance Inc. I just want to say before we kind of get started with our brief presentation that I'm definitely, feeling really good about what's happening here today. Definitely got my spirit filled by seeing all of the women who are presenting their businesses. All of you women, I wish you the best, but definitely feel good about the future of Northeast Oklahoma City, but also business ownership in this. And what, as Dale mentioned, folks that are going to be a part of the ecosystem that we are working so hard together and in alignment with to grow. All right, so As I mentioned, Quentin Hughes, Northeast OKC Renaissance, Inc.
Good evening. I'm Jeremy Calley, Senior Director of Student Affairs and Workforce Development for Metro Technology Centers. Welcome to our facility.
And I'm Kimberly Francisco, Executive Director, Progress OKC.
Hi, everybody. Melva Franklin, Progress OKC Program Director, and thanks for coming out. Is Steve going to talk?
It'll be me. All right, so. They wanted me to. Okay.
Greg Jones, Northeast Oklahoma City, representing the Small Business Development Center. So, thank you. Yeah. Hey.
Stop there. Many of us in the room know that that Oklahoma City over the last 30 years or so has really kind of seen a positive trajectory in terms of its own investment in itself, utilizing like the MAPS 4 program. We're really seeing, we've really seen the resurgence of downtown. We've seen commercial districts that have either been created or have been reestablished. We've really seen that economy grow. But over that time, some communities have not had gotten the opportunity to really see any of that spillover growth, and Northeast Oklahoma City being one of them. And so what we have now, as Dale referenced before, is a real opportunity to leverage resources in this moment to really benefit not only this community but minority communities throughout the city, and really to work together and in alignment to build out an ecosystem utilizing a central resource in the Henrietta B Foster Center. And so what we represent is a consortium of organizations that have set forth to do just that. The HB Foster Consortium, we're a minority enterprise development collaborative. To combine, we have over 90 years of experience supporting small businesses in Oklahoma City. And our real goal is to achieve parity for minority-owned businesses across Oklahoma City, using our relationships and ability to collaborate and really build more connective, inclusive, and innovative small business ecosystem.
So when we think about the history of Northeast Oklahoma City, we know that it's been wrought with racism, systemic racism, as well as the plight of urban renewal. In the 1900s, when segregation began east of Broadway, you began to see in the 1920s the rise of deep deuce, and that was in direct correlation to what communities of color often had to do for themselves. It wasn't so much, well, it all had to do with that, right? So we provided everything, whether it was the dry cleaning business or the physician or the dentist or whatever. Everything was encapsulated within our community because it had to be. Because of segregation, we couldn't go outside of the community. So we saw businesses rise on 2nd Street in the 20s. As well as on Northeast 4th Street, as well as the business corridor at Northeast 7th in the fairgrounds area. In the 60s, you began to see a concerted effort of disinvestment in the community, as well as the rise of urban renewal, which ultimately, urban renewal, along with the construction of Interstate 235 coming through the middle of the community, it was all but the death knell. What continued to occur is that continued disinvestment, destruction, and non-investment, oversight, just nothing happening within the community. The 70s and 80s, eminent domain, Interstate 235. The reemergence, what we're seeing now in 2020, the Innovation District, the 2010 TIF, the renaissance that occurred in 2000, as well as, this is always backwards, and I started the other end. I was like, I'm going back in time. Okay, all right, we're going. So 1990 up to now, all right. So with the launching of MAPS, with the TIF district, the Renaissance, and then eventually in 2020 with the emergence of Innovation District. What we see happening now on Northeast 4th within Northeast Oklahoma City, the resurgence, the energy that's occurring, we also want to assure that there is place, that there is space, in the community for folk who have historically lived in the community, right? How do we maintain that? What does that look like? And so we see the work that we're doing at Henrietta B. Foster Center, as well as the work Northeast Rent is doing, Progress OKC, in building affordable housing and keeping place, is to assure, right, that Northeast Oklahoma City, that it maintains its cultural identity, that it maintains that historical connection, and that there is always conversation at the table around lived experience, that that isn't discounted. Simply because someone else doesn't remember when there were homes in the area doesn't mean that there were never homes in the area. When we drive past vacant lots and it's a vacant lot to be disseminated, it isn't a vacant lot for some folk because we can remember who lived there. So that's the importance for us. It is strategic with the Henrietta B. Foster Center in its placement, in the design, that it sits there at that cusp of Northeast 4th and Lincoln.
So as we began to think about the development of the operating partnership for the H.B. Foster Center campus, we of course started to look at some of the data and immediately recognized that there was a tremendous lack of parity and opportunity for the communities of color in Oklahoma City. We saw that while the Hispanic Latinx population was 21% of the population of Oklahoma City, only 5% of the business community. And likewise, for Oklahoma City, the Black or African American community, 13 or 14% of the population is Black or African American, but only 3%, 2% of the business community, business ownership, small businesses. Asian community has found some parity, but we do recognize likewise for the indigenous communities, while they are 4% and 3% respectively in the population, they have achieved parity as far as percentages go, but we do recognize that those businesses are still suffering. They still are without resources and without connectedness to the broader community and to the broader economic opportunities, most especially in its resurgence as it's happening right now in Oklahoma City. We recognize that there have been a tremendous amount of funds stimulating the growth in Oklahoma City, and that growth has happened in most other segments, most especially in commercial districts around the city, but not in the Northeast Corridor. And so the Foster Center is our opportunity to try and bring opportunity, restore opportunity in the Northeast Corridor, most especially to give us that chance to right the ship, to begin to build wealth, as we spoke about earlier today at lunch. The best route out of poverty is to build wealth. What is the best way to build wealth? Through small business, entrepreneurship. We have to empower people. So that's our objective. When we also examined our past experiences in working with small businesses, we saw some serious gaps and serious chances, barriers that keep our small businesses from being able to become stable and sustainable. The range you can see, from education and skill sets to developing strategies to capital access to simply networking, which is not, as it turns out, quite so simple. When we're barred, there are enormous racial systemic barriers that keep us from those opportunities to network in some of the communities and opportunities that give us the opportunity to build our businesses. The solution, again, these are things that we've tried, that we've done in the past. We'll continue to make those things available at Foster Center, but we want to know that we're focused on what true needs are and that we're able to provide those opportunities and services in a way that is very useful, beneficial. We intend to be very goal-oriented and objective-driven. So we're going to be constantly looking at the data and constantly asking the questions about the work that we're doing so that we know that it's having some positive impact on the community, and we get those answers from you. So that's why we're here tonight, to begin those conversations. and we'll do this on multiple occasions throughout not only the developmental stage of the Foster Center, but after it opens in the 2026. I believe it's a future plan that we're working on right now. What the experience would be like as we envision it right now, these are a few of the small business owners, founders, who have participated in our various programs and accelerators previously. They have worked as online software, school software, an ice cream store, a potential investor, an urban farmer, HVAC machinery, and a nonprofit developer. So there is a range. There is opportunity for folks to engage with the level of support that you individually need. Our intent is to try and make the experience with Foster and all of our programs independently and collectively as user-friendly as we can be, and to make it such that it is independently designed, or individually rather designed, so that each person, each founder who comes into the center is given the opportunity to understand where they are as far as their business operates, and then move through the various components from a business advisory team who will help to sort of diagnose the status of that business and move on toward developing their strategy and preparing them for capitalizing the business, or to better capitalizing clearer access to those capital opportunities and resource development. But it is intended to be that circular motion with the entrepreneur as the center of our focus. We don't want to design a program that's just a program for program's sake. We want it to be focused on what the each individual business needs and desires to move forward. That's it for me.
So each of the consortium members, and you can see up here, brings a unique set of skills and expertise, and some of us may even overlap in some of these areas, but as you can see here, everything from small business training to procurement network to microloan programs to community development and community organization are all expertise that come from the consortium members. But even beyond that, it becomes even bigger, the broader network that the consortium is bringing, and to create an environment and an ecosystem that is open to all people, that fills the unique needs of each individual business, but then also that those resource partners and those that come into the center have mission alignment with the H.B. Foster Center, and so that we don't want to have an environment where it's just carte blanche of people and resources coming at entrepreneurs, but that those that are vetted by a central entity that are approved official partners of the Foster Center, and so that we can help protect and foster, for lack of a pun there, our entrepreneurs through this process, and to help their business grow in their own unique way. And so there's a lot of things that come here from Progress and from Metro Tech and from Northeast and from Oklahoma Small Business Development Centers that bring a lot of expertise and a lot of broader network that then can come into the center and really create wraparound services for an entrepreneur. So let's talk a little bit about where we're at in the process. We have been selected and approved by City Council, and we've done that just a month or so ago. And right now we're sort of in that pre-design / design phase, and that's what we're here tonight for, is to hear the things that you see the needs for in the Henrietta B. Foster Center, and how as we're engaging the small business community and our community at large, that we're listening and we're helping provide a design that is not only honors Ms. Foster's legacy, but that meets the emerging needs and the current needs of our small business community. And so as far as the design phase from a building standpoint, currently the city is in that selection process of the architect that will work on the renovation of the facility. And once that entity is selected, then the consortium will begin working with that firm to really bring these ideas and bring the voice of the community to the architect to say, these are the things that the community wants in the Foster Center. These are the things that the small business community needs, and these are the spaces and places that we need to be able to facilitate and accomplish this great mission. And so, as you can see here, and then we'll head into a construction phase in late 23 and into 24 with a building, physical building, opening sometime in 25. But we're not waiting until 25 to do this work. As we're here and we're having these conversations, we're designing these programs, the consortium is here and ready to begin to start rolling out and working together on with small business in the community. And so brick and mortar will come, but the ideals and the concept of the H.B. Foster Center can start way before we get the key to the front door. So we're excited about that, and we're excited to be a part of it. And I think what a really important part here is, if you'll notice the red portion here is, and Melva mentioned this, is about refining. As we're continuing on this process, and we're taking feedback tonight, and we're going to have many more of those, but even as we get into the physical building and get into the programming, this two-way communication of refining the process and adding programming or tweaking programming to help meet our entrepreneurs' needs is very important. And last thing from me is just down here, you'll see some of our key performance indicators, and Melva made mention to some of these. We really want to make sure to be able to measure impact that this is having on our community and on an individual entrepreneur basis. And we know that economic impact will happen. We know that job creation will happen. But these are sort of the big buckets, if you will, of data that we'll be tracking to indicate whether we're being successful in this mission.
So part of the reason that, or I should say, one of the reasons why it's very important that we take these opportunities to share with the community what is happening and what is coming is because there is a lot. And so if you're a part of the group that's kind of in this work every day, it's a lot. And if you're a community member or a resident or a neighbor that just happens to come into a forum one day, you're going to have a whole agenda of 20 things, 20 developments that are either going or about to get going in Northeast Oklahoma City. So it's really important for us not only to be aware of those, but also get out in front of those, right? And so the reason that we wanted to show this slide is because this is what our intention is in collaborating on this space. I mean, it's necessary for you to understand the kind of the broader context of what's happening and kind of movement and trends within the city. So if you pay attention to the map, this area outlined in red represents the Innovation District. So raise your hand if you know what the Innovation District is. All right, that's about half the group. Maybe that's only half that was listening. But if you were listening and you just didn't know, this is something you should Google. The Innovation District, it is within Northeast Oklahoma City. There was about $70 million of public money that is being invested in this area, and it is to be an economic engine for the state of Oklahoma. It is a big deal. There's bioscience. There's a cluster of industries that are focused there, and the city, the state, it is betting on this area. All right. This is the HB Foster Center, which is dead, well, which is not dead in the center of the Innovation District, but it is definitely within the Innovation District 1 along a historic corridor that Ms. Kim talked about a little earlier. This is along 4th Street, all right? So it is uniquely positioned to benefit from the physical proximity of where all of this activity is going to be occurring, right? So it is by design that we are collaborating together to ensure that we are creating opportunities to have these types of accelerators right here in the midst of the activity in the Innovation District, and to get you all connected to what else is going on here. Those of us who are doing the work, have a strong understanding about what's happening now and what's coming. And so it's when we talk about young people, young entrepreneurs, and representing like the future of the ecosystem, it's really about, not necessarily about what you know right now, but it's what you're preparing for. And so, you know, we may represent a little bit more of an experienced group, but what we're trying to do is prepare the road ahead for you all. And so we like to provide this slide to really highlight, you know, kind of some of the physical context, as well as the economic activity that we predict or that we know is coming, that's already happening. Ms. Kim talked a lot about the history, and this is obviously before my time and probably before the time of a lot of folks in here. But that 4th Street corridor, Deep Deuce, they have a story that, and she talked about how there was a forced economy. You know what I mean? There was a forced economic engine that ended up being vibrant and dope, right? This is a part of what we think that we want to be a part of rebuilding and restoring in a way. But what we want to do is create the space to connect that past to the future. And so we think what our consortium represents is a group that is committed to doing that. And we work together because we knew that we would have a mindset that would be collaborative, that would want to work with other organizations and other folks to make the space what it needed to be. That we have this collective experience, as I talked about, over 90 years worth, and a know-how and an expertise to really be able to help, you know, folks that are, whether they're ideating or they're starting up or they're in the mid-level, or even if they're getting ready to IP, or they're getting ready to go public, right? So, you know, we have this connection to the Oklahoma City small business community. So, you know, we incubate you in Northeast, but we're going to teach you how to take that elsewhere, you know what I'm saying, and connect with others and grow. And then lastly, we also have within the partnership the ability to manage the building and manage the funds responsibly. And so that's what we feel like differentiates us, and you know, is something that these are things that we really feel like we'll leverage to make the HB Foster Center a transformative space within the city that will really, that can become a national model for growing an ecosystem here like no other place in the nation. So.
Just a slide here just represents some of the partners that we've worked with. It's certainly not an exhaustive list. We didn't have a slide that big. We have a lot of great network. But I think at this point, right, I think let's open it up for some questions or thoughts that anybody may have. We want to know. There's also an assessment, founder's assessment here to provide your feedback. There's a QR code on the table. We really do value your input on this. But if anybody has questions or comments, just raise your hand. We'll get a mic in your hand, or you can just start talking, whichever you would like. But we want to know, what do you want the Foster Center to be for you? And if there's something that you're really passionate about, you want to make sure we don't miss, in this development and planning time, please feel free to share.
I happen to have a 19-year-old and twin boys that are 17. What will the foster center's activities, you think, lend to youth entrepreneurship?
Great question. Great question. This is a topic that Q and I talk about a lot. Is how do we engage young people? We have an entrepreneurship program here at Metro Tech that's helping develop that, but how do we take that to the community? There's some models out there around the country. Dr. Gines probably aware of some of the work that Gallup does in this space in Omaha, in Mexico City, and Washington, D.C., in being able to identify spikes in entrepreneurial talent and then put them in a space to grow and develop. And that program in particular happens to launch a company every summer when they do this. So we're looking at those models from around the country to be able to bring those resources here to Oklahoma City, to be able to engage students after school, during school with ours that we have here, on the weekend, in the summers, and to be able to grow up that entrepreneur talent. That's a great question. Thank you for it.
I'm going to just make a quick comment about it. I'm just really excited as a partner to be a part of this project and encourage all of you to get to know the work that's being done behind the scenes and really connect and get this information out to our communities, because it's about the communities, and without us serving them, you know, this would not be possible. But what are some ways that people can stay engaged to continue to follow the work that's going to happen in the future?
Yeah, great question. Please make sure, shameless marketing plug for all of our marketing departments, please make sure that you're following all of our organizations at this point on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We got a TikTok. I don't know, is Northeast got a TikTok? All right. We got a TikTok. Oh, okay. All right. We got one. I can't figure out how to access it, but we got one. But anyway, please stay in contact with us as an organization. Here in a very near future, we will be launching a website. We'll be launching all that social media platforms and those things for the H.B. Foster Center. So be looking out for that. We'll push that out via all of our individual mediums, and there will be a place to do that. There also, as we start to get down the road here, this is sort of our near future work, is to create a space to be able to do that online feedback as well. So thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So my question would be, as a small business owner, how do, just give me a second. Oh, sorry. Give me a second. Okay.
So this was great. Appreciate you all for this presentation and for this work. My question is regarding sort of the wraparound supports for these efforts for small businesses, for the development. And, you know, I know you all aren't necessarily representing the city, but for all of the investment that is coming into this district that you are talking about is on the east side. And we talked about the history of disinvestment on the east side. What are the sort of promises or pushes from the city with all of this investment, that where we are investing and to whom we are investing, that those investments are actually going to be benefiting the people who have been living here for generations, and also the kids who are going to be growing up on the east side, that these things are actually benefiting them, and not sort of continuing that historical trajectory, repeating it, of urban renewal, gentrification, pushing people out and bringing people in who aren't historically from these communities.
That is an awesome question, and thank you for raising it. And I strongly believe, and I think I can speak for our consortium members on this, that we have to be the voice. We collectively, all of us. Change typically comes from the ground up. the most effective long-term change will come from the ground up rather than from the top down. So we want to be that conduit. We, all of us, present in this room and the broader network as well, we have to communicate with one another. We have to talk about what those concerns are that we have, and we have to then collectively build a model, if you will, for how we want those questions to be resolved. And then we push that. We push it to the powers that be. Many of us are connected to the networks that make these promises, either as employers or as representatives of political groups or organizations or major corporations. Many say, and many are represented here tonight even through these banks who are represented here tonight. These banks' boards and CEOs have made commitments to the community, to the Northeast community. So our task is to make certain that we are prepared to receive the opportunities that they're giving to us and that we manage them well. That's part of what Foster wants to do, but it's a bigger picture than Foster. You know, it expands to the community, to the people of the community. And we have to be that voice. We have to be that conduit. And we have to be very insistent on what we'll accept. Can't stop until it's done.
Yeah, to add to that, so I don't know about promises from the city, but I can say specifically in the area where the HB Foster Center is located, one thing that I didn't talk about in order to try to be brief, the outline in the black here, this represents the area south of 8th Street where the Alliance of Economic Development sponsored a community engagement with stakeholders from throughout Northeast Oklahoma City in order to decide or to inform a master plan effort in the land use of land in this area, the south of 8th Street, which the city, urban renewal is owned in large part by urban renewal, right? And so for folks who know some history of that land, well, Kim spoke about the history of how that land was acquired by the city. And so that's one maybe commitment, that's being made, is to kind of ensure that there is not only voice, but also some mechanisms in place that allow for folks that want to be landowners or developers that are from the communities or residents have opportunity to live in this area or to purchase and live in this area, which I already described what was coming in the Innovation District. So if you look at this location within the Innovation District, this is prime real estate. So this land right here at market rate, could be sold, like the city could make tons of money on the value of this land right now. But there's an understanding about how it came about, and so they're not. They're not going to just sell it to the highest bidder because there's an understanding that the community has something to say about it, and they've taken a kind of formal approach to that. I'd also say that Northeast Renaissance has a program called Placekeepers that you probably need to get engaged with because, brothers and sisters like you who maybe want to do something, I think one way to do it is obviously start a business and become a part of this ecosystem. Another way to do it is become a developer and be the one that's doing this work, that's building these homes, that's building these commercial developments so that you have say on who you sell it to or who you lease it to. There are these paths. There's this advocacy path where, we can kind of come together and come up with solutions. And then there's this path where you can do the work. And we need you to come do the work.
I don't think you can emphasize that enough. Is because there's still a lot of corporations that own that property in that area. And I know that there's some people here tonight that your family still owns some property. That means something. Hold it. That means something. Hold it. But I think you're onto something there in those corporations. There's a lot of corporations that owns that property on both sides of 4th. And thank you for bringing that up. That's some information we got to keep on our mind.
Yeah, and more than south of 8th. I mean, there. You know, we got families that own land over here east of Lottie. We got people that own land in, the medical community. Don't sell that. Don't sell anything. This innovation, all of that money that they're pumping in the innovation district is increasing land values. Do not sell your land. You know what I'm saying? Or if you want to get rid of it, sell it to Northeast Renaissance, and we'll be proper stewards.
Or if
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There you go.
So Jim, you make a good point. You asked, what do we want to see in the Foster B Center? One of the things that I would like to see is I would like to see some innovative focus on home ownership mentorship, right? There are a number of different programs throughout this country that offer the kind of ongoing nurturing and mentorship that people need to be able to transform from rentership mentality to ownership mentality. When we were having these conversations 25 years ago about this area, we were saying the same things to people's families who owned property. Don't sell it, don't let it go. But that still happened. And I believe that part of the reason that happened is because there was a lack of credible, trustworthy, ongoing, consistent information that people could use to take the path that they want to take. I'm not calling anybody out, but I went around this entire room today. I am impressed when I'm around young people. Now, I'm not really that young. I know I look good.
You better work.
That's because black don't crack. I got a few years. I was very impressed when there are this many young people in the room who are focused on entrepreneurship. But I asked everybody in this room one question: do you own where you live? And I will tell you that the majority of them said no. No, I don't, but I would like to. I think I don't know how to get ready, because they don't know that they are already ready. That is a huge concern when you have this kind of development in this area. When we talk about not wanting people who live in the area, are committed to the area, grew up in the area, attached to the area, not wanting them to be pushed out, I'm telling you, they're going to get pushed out if they don't get to a place to be able to own where they live, where they can buy it. That's the reality. So I would like to see that there be some presence through placekeepers or somebody else, where there is some innovative thought given to how, through the center, we offer ongoing, consistent, not every once in a while, nurturing home ownership mentorship to transform thinking renter to owner. Because I think that makes the difference. Home ownership in this country is still the #1 wealth builder. It is the difference between the haves and the have-nots. And so until we can get folk that we are concerned about to own that journey and take that journey and own where they live, I believe that we will continue to have the same conversations over and over and over again. So that's what I would like to see, at least one thing I would like to see come out of the center while we're cultivating entrepreneurs. Part of that cultivation needs to be, as an entrepreneur, you should own where you live to further that.
Thank you for that.
Okay, I'm ready. I have 2 questions. So my first question is, how do you get funding for brick and mortar or commercial funding that's located on the east side of Oklahoma, like now or in the present? That's my first question. And then my second question is concerning the facility for entrepreneurships. Will there be something for entrepreneurs with children? Because a lot of times, a lot of people, like in my generation, their business, they don't have as much time to work on their business because of childcare. So will there be something in there where it will be childcare provided, where the entrepreneurs can go in a different room and work on their business, or just something? That's something that I think that is needed, because it's a lot of single parents and a lot of women I know for sure, like I have to watch my kids. I don't have to watch my kids. So, it's kind of hard for them to work on their business and do these different things and then have their children right there with them all the time.
That's good. Thank you for that question. Well, I want to be clear that we haven't decided all of the things. Like, these engagements are important because your feedback is going to help inform what happens in the center, right? So if you've if you haven't done the QR on this and entered that there, unfortunately, I might forget what you just said, but it's relevant. It's extremely relevant. Oh yeah, sorry. Let me get that back up. And so we do want to be able to. I'm going the wrong way. We do want to be able to be responsive to feedback, and also considerate of these kind of common themes.
So Q, if you're older than 20, what does that QR code do?
So I was gonna say this to you, Q, because we had a conversation earlier about Q and social media.
Oh, come for me.
So you're telling a lot of us, which a lot of people in this room are very busy. You want us to do this QR code, but are you building an email list where you can send us information? Because it'd be better if you can send us information like, what was the feedback on this, or this is what's coming up this month, because we would love to be in rooms like this, but how do we know about, if it wasn't for this class, I wouldn't know nothing about none of this. So a good thing too is sending us emails, this is coming up, what do y'all think about this, so that we can be involved that way.
Well, yeah, so if you do.
At the end of that, let me just say this, Q. At the end of that 9-question survey that is attached to this QR code, this QR code will open a survey that has 9 quick questions, very simple questions. At the end of it, the 9th question asks for that best contact information to be able to share information back through the network. So you can make that answer there. I also want to invite you, and I don't know if we're quite there yet, because I do want you to have the opportunity to ask whatever questions you have. But I'd like for you to consider looking at the questions that are on the sheet, that are on the table, and give some feedback to those questions as a group, collectively, and then take a few minutes to share that information back to the room so that we have some documentation of some further documentation of what we'd like to see, like things like workspaces that offer childcare opportunities. That's essential. It appealed to occurred to us this evening, actually before this evening, but it's blatant this evening that had we had childcare available today, there may likely have been a few more participants here, even so. So that has to be a part of the formula. Those are the types of things that we want to hear from you. I love the home ownership, regular training toward becoming homeowners. Same with finance and banking and marketing and all of those areas that we know impact how people grow wealth. So if you would, did we want to entertain more questions? Does anybody else
Can I answer the question directly about funding, and then we transition out?
Sure.
Yeah, so funding for a brick and mortar, there's not an easy answer to that question, right? But a bank is a place where you can get funding, but it's not as if they're just throwing money out, at whoever asks for it. So there are steps that have to be taken. There are relationships that have to be built. Also, at times there are grant opportunities, but I don't know of any right now. But I know we have banks in the room. We got Chase over here. I think we got Bank of Oklahoma right behind here. I encourage you, True Sky, I encourage you to stop by their booth and ask them that very question. And they're probably going to give you a list of things. And I'm sure you're going to learn about it in the class, too, that you're in. There's probably a session. And I will lastly say that the H.B. Foster Center will be a place where you can come ask any of those. We want any entrepreneur or anybody that's in any stage of entrepreneurship to feel welcome to come by the H.B. Foster Center to ask any question, or know it is a place where you can get plugged into whatever, right? So we will have relationships with all of the banks that want to be aligned with what we're doing in this side of town. And so from the time you come in and say, oh, I just need money, we might ask you some questions and then be able to connect you directly with a bank that kind of aligns with your vision for your business. And that's that along with, among other things.
Go ahead.
Dr. Q, can you go back to where you had your goals, you know, where your schedule was for opening? Okay, in this, are you going to, number one, give a yearly update as you progress along, and to whom are you going to give that yearly update?
So we can, but it's not a plan right now. It's also not a plan to have a monthly newsletter yet. You know what I'm saying? But we will be launching, like we said, a website and formulating what our communication plan looks like. And so we haven't created that yet.
My next question is, how and what kind of goals are you going to set so that you know that you're tracking to a certain degree of success? Are we going to see analytical data associated with those that come in and those that go out? Just trying to figure out how will we as a public know that you are successful in what you say you're attempting to do in growth of business in the area, in growth of even home ownership, whatever those goals are, and how are we as a public going to ascertain your success or see your success? And again, whatever you give to the public or get from the public, you owe the public the information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. The process that we're about to embark on is basically a strategic planning process for the center, as we're not only considering services and brick and mortar things that need to be in the center. This is the work you're asking about is exactly what we'll begin to do to take these as ideas of data measures or indicators, and then start to break those out into yearly goals. And then I think there's two pieces to the accountability piece. The city will have an expectation from us to report to them, but we're certainly not going to stop there. I love your idea of the public does deserve that information, and so we mentioned that kind of refinement and that ongoing conversation with the community, and I think that's one of those events or times that we set aside each year to give an annual report of things are going and highlight clients and successful entrepreneurs that are going through the services at the Foster Center. So that's kind of just where we're at in the process, but it's a good question.
Speak to our metrics. We did include metrics as measures, standard measures of what we're doing and how we're progressing. This has to be data-driven and best practice-based. It has to be. So some of those metrics do include the corporate impact. It does include the dollars raised for capitalizing businesses, and the number of new business starts, and the numbers of people employed through these small businesses. So we have about I think there were about 25 general metrics along those lines, but certainly that was not intended to be the all-encompassing range that we utilize to measure what we're doing. Some of that, I think, needs to come from, and certainly, demographics, that's always a standard, but some of that needs to come through what we experience and what we hear through conversations like this with stakeholders, like home buyers, people in home buyer training, entrepreneurs who are in home buyer training. There's some data out there. Dr. Dale probably knows this number because I don't remember it off the top, but it speaks specifically to the numbers of BIPOC small business owners who own homes, who own the place that they live. And one of the things that you'll hear, that I've heard in many of the economic development summits, several have been right here in Oklahoma City, and yet, we sit here with 30% poverty rate, but though some of those comments have been around increasing the numbers of homeowners, particularly in BIPOC communities. Oklahoma City has something like 55% of the population rents. The bigger part of our population in Oklahoma City now is the peripheral of the city.
The only reason I'm asking that is because we know that small businesses are the engines of our economy. And if we don't show our leaders the economic impact that small businesses provide, in particular in this forum, in this plan, then it's for naught, because we're going in circles again. And so that's the reason why I'm asking for the data, and I want to see the data, and I want the public to see the data, and I want our legislators to know the data, that this has worked, will work, and what it does to our economy.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, another layer to that accountability, part of the funding that Oklahoma Small Business Development Centers receives, federal funding for that, then there's a data piece that's also reported, an accountability piece of that is reported to the federal government, which is there's sort of that line of data that'll be collected, and I think the end all. Here's the point I'm sort of extracting from you, and correct me if I'm off base here. We need to create an opportunity to engage the public in our successes, and then to be able to then take that data and make a broader impact with it, be that with our elected officials, city officials, state officials, to be able to use this as a vehicle to move the conversation of when you invest in communities, when you invest in intentional training, in intentional consulting and things like that, this is the impact that comes out of it. Did I sum that up pretty well? Yeah, thanks.
Hi, I just thank you for all this good information, and I think I'm going to kind of like lean more so in what she was mentioning about with the real estate piece, right? For my company in organization, we're focused on family planning, right? And so in this industry, it's a very small workforce. And our goal is to grow that workforce, because without families, we don't have businesses. We don't have people buying homes if they're not expanding and building their families. So will there be things in place for workforce development that could help me to grow my company so that we can have more people having children, more people investing in buying homes, more people, building businesses that people can actually, when we talk about future, things like that. We won't have futures if we're not having babies. So that's where my job comes in, to help people do that. So are there spaces and places to help build that type of workforce, that type of skill set, and things of that nature? Thank you.
Well, I'd say the Innovation District also got more money, a federal grant, I think $35 million, maybe, just to create a workforce, it's actually a biopharmaceutical, I think, workforce development center. But I say that because there's huge investment in workforce development just within the Innovation District as well. And like I said, our intention is to be able to connect to all of that and filter that back to the community. So yes, your specific field, maybe, like there's gonna be, you know what I'm saying? But workforce in general, like yes, we're gonna be connected to that.
Thank you.
Maybe just one last comment on top of that, and then we'll take one more question. And we're certainly available after we're done here. But I think what you're talking about, and when I hear ecosystem, I hear this thriving sort of buzzing place where people interact when they're interconnected. Hey, look at that. I didn't even look at your sign. Where entrepreneurs, new and current and experienced, are in a place that supports each other. That's an ongoing conversation, and it's really so really what the Foster Center can become is a hub of this activity. All the great things, what a great MED week and all the things going on. This is a place that continues beyond a week a year, that it's every week of the year, it's every day of the year, that it's just a place where people come and they're co-reliant on each other as companies. That if I'm a supplier of a product and I'm a needer of that product, now I have a place where I can get connected to that supplier, and we both win. So I think to me, that's what the Foster Center becomes, is this just place where activity happens. It's a hub for the conversation. It's a hub for activity. It's a hub for resources, and it's a hub for training and development. Does that make sense? please.
Yes, I had a comment. Basically, it was about how to stay informed. And Nikki Nice, Councilperson Nikki Nice, does a wonderful job. She has quarterly town meetings, and the HB Center is listed in it, and a lot of other things, all the things that are going on economically on the northeast side, she discusses along with the people that are behind those forces. So I just wanted to share that information. You can follow her, and you'll be able to know when those meetings are.
Think any other questions? Well, you do?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I came in late, so this might be redundant. But when I was looking at the land, you were saying that they're holding the land for the people who live there, or you're saying, like, how do we go about getting that land?
So there was kind of a public process for getting community feedback for determining the answers to those types of questions. And so I think soon there's going to be something that we hear from the Alliance about like a request for proposals that's going to have language about that answers those questions. But it was really about engaging the community to figure out, like, what do they want to see there? Like, what do they want that land to be used for? Like, what type of access do they want to it? How should that work? Those types of things. And so there's not, go ahead.
I think what she was saying, what she's asking is, you made the reference earlier to hold on to your land.
Oh, that part.
So what he was saying, sisters, if you already have land in these areas, don't just let it go. He wasn't saying that the entities that do own land, the corporate entities that do own land there, are holding it for the people who already live there. But he was saying, if you have land in that area, hold on to it. Right now, there are some people, some corporate entities that own property there, and some of that land may at some point be available to individual people who want to purchase it for the purposes of building or creating and that kind of thing. So he was telling you the answer was correct because he was mixing both things together. But I think is that what you were asking?
There's also
There's a
urban
couple-
renewal land.
Right, yeah. That's the residential land that's available through Okira, right, which is also in this area, and it's even broader. Thank you. That is what's called an RFP. So at any time that if you go to the Alliance website and you go to land inventory, it shows you all the land that's available, all right, for residential, for commercial development, and the RFP will answer sort of those questions of how you go about, right, obtaining that land. I think also what Q was mentioning is that with Okira land, it is sold at well under fair market rate.
It's like 65 cents per square foot.
It's
So you
about
can buy a
$4,500.
lot for $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 within the urban renewal
Inventory.
So I strongly encourage those of you who have interest to go to that website and try to purchase that land. Purchase a lot. It has some requirements that stuff like you have to build on it. You have more than likely, I think it still says you have to live on it, live in the house that you build for a period of time. That I strongly encourage that.
Because $4,000, $5,000 seems like a lot of money to me. But put that in context. If you were
Compared to $60,000 to purchase a lot of that size in Oklahoma City. $4,000. Most of you would probably qualify for a $4,000 loan to purchase a residential lot. Most of you probably would qualify.
And since we aren't producing any more land, this is it. That's, it is. And there are only X number of available residential lots. I think we're at about 116.
Around 100 lots still remaining. And I mean, I think there is a requirement to build on it, but you don't have to do that like tomorrow. Within a year or 2 years or something to that effect. I don't remember, but it's not like you have to build on it immediately.
The south of 8th that Quentin was talking about, that particular project, that study is complete, and it was a broad fairly comprehensive that included the community and a technical advisory. That report now rests with the Alliance. I think that's the next piece, is that what we hope to see come out of that are clear RFPs that are aligned with what the community has said that they want done with the land 8th Street South. Which way? For the land inventory, if you go to the Alliance website, if you go to Progress OKC's website, it can link you back to the Alliance. But the Alliance website, at the top along the bar, land inventory. Did you say something, Daisy, that you wanted to say? I think that really, we can't thank you enough for your time, for your energy, for your input tonight. Again, we will intend to continue these efforts. It has been an inspiring week for Med Week. We close out tomorrow with 2 more live stream events, one on legalities and the second one on cannabis that I'm going to need desperately tomorrow. As a joke, it was laugh. Right over here. It's okay. It's okay. I know. But again, thank you all so much. Thank you to Kansas City Federal Reserve for their sponsorship. Thank you, everyone, and tap in tomorrow on those live streams. All right.
So, Kim, one thing. Will you take one of these questions and answer it? Just take a picture of it and send it back to us. It's asking questions about what you might like to see at Foster, what your needs are.
Thank you all.
I'm sorry, guys. Thank you. My name is Chris Rogers on behalf of Conference Services. Thank you for coming out. We'll be closing up, locking up 8:30. I know you guys are moving. This was great. Awesome. Consider us in the future. Anybody wants to rent any space, inform us.